The answer is no. If it is not a fully 100% yes, your default should always be no. Why? Let me explain. If you jump on an opportunity, it inevitably means that you say no to a lot of other things. So unless you are fully sure that that opportunity aligns with you, with your goals, with your vision for yourself, with you living your most authentic life, unless you know that that is 100% you being on the right path, your default answer should always be no. When I think back of the 3 or 4 most significant moments in my life, they were times where I was at a crossroad and I could either go left or right. And the 3 or 4 most significant moments that ended up being the best moments, the best choices that I've made, always started with me saying no to something that would have brought me a lot of comfort or peace short term, even money short term, but it would not align with me, my vision, or me living my most authentic self long term. And every single time I said no, it was really painful and I doubted myself and I doubted my choices and I wasn't sure and I was insecure. But every single time when I look back at it, it was the best choice I could have made, because what ended up happening was 10 times better than what I even thought would have been possible. When you think about it, 80 or 90% of your life happens in your head. It might be even more, honestly. It all happens in your head, right? It is how you view things, how you feel, how you interpret things. It is how you talk to yourself. It's how you talk about others in your head. It is how you view the world, it influences your perspective on things happening, which is why when 2 people view a similar situation, they'll have a different interpretation of what actually happened, because their head influences what they see. They give a different meaning to it. So much of your life is happening in your head that if at one point a choice costs you your mind, your calmness, your mindset, your creativity, your peace, it's a really, really expensive price to pay. I would even go as far as argue that it is never worth it. Never. No matter what the upside could be, if it is you making a promotion or you making financial gain or you receiving status, attention, whatever it is that you are pursuing with that move, it is never, ever, ever worth it, because your life happens in your head. If it's not a 100% yes, let your default be no. That's my main lesson that I learned in the last decade. Anyways, I am back in the Netherlands, as you can maybe see by the rain and by the lack of palm trees. We did a 2-day drive. It was 23 hours of driving for the last couple of days. It's been intense. I have not moved my body for 1 inch. And what always happens when I don't move my body, I have a lot of build-up energy. And that usually translates into me feeling very restless. So I wouldn't call it anxious, even though I know that it can make people feel anxious. For me, it's more restless. Simultaneously, I get so tired when I don't move. So moving, even though it costs you energy, it actually gives you a lot of energy as well. I really just need to train my body. And what better way to train than to go and do a glute-focused leg day? Because that's the only way that I know how to get back into the swing of things. So that is exactly what we are doing today. And I'm very excited for it. But honestly, if there is one thing that I would try to explain to people, it would be that you don't have to go to the gym. I don't care what form of movement it is, but especially if you are in your head a lot, make sure that you move your body. Because to the same extent that your mind influences your body also influences your mind. So take that 30 minutes, 20 minutes, hour, whatever you have, take it, try to move your body, get some movement in what way possible, and realize that that 1 hour of investment that you make isn't just about that 1 hour, even though it's a really good way to get out of your head and into the physical presence. It is an investment because that 1 hour influences how the rest of your 23 hours a day will go. When I train, I feel better, I have more energy, I am nicer, I am more calm, I am sleeping better. I'm just a better person because of that 1 hour. And it can also be 15 minutes. I don't care. Whatever you have, if you have something, try to spend it on yourself and on movement. So that was a very long intro. We are going to the gym. We're going to train. I am following the fat loss program in my app. It's an 8-week program. I'm doing the advanced level. So every 4 weeks our schedule changes because you want to do the same thing for multiple weeks. I get questions about that, why we repeat the same thing over and over again. That is because you want to make sure that you not tweak too many variables every single time. You want to train in a controlled way. Training is a skill, and in order to build that skill, you need repeated exposure. So we're doing the same thing for 4 weeks. Use the numbers that you've done last week as a reference and try to improve on that every single consecutive week if you can. Now, improvement obviously has different ways that it can occur. It's not just you adding weight every single week. It can also be you executing the movement with better form, or you being able to control the negative better, or you needing less rest to recover. So whatever you do, just make sure that you use the fact that we are repeating things to your advantage. So I'm doing the fat loss program. With the fat loss program, I don't have specific glute workouts. I have leg days. Some of them are more quad focused and some of them are more glute and hamstring focused. However, what I'm doing today is something that I do not advise you to do, but I do it because sometimes you just want to do something fun, right? Obviously, my main goal with training is always for longevity, for health reasons, not just to build my physique. It's just a fun way to approach training from my experience. But what I'm doing today is I'm transforming the leg day that is planned for today to a glute-focused leg day. So I just go to the workout, I find alternatives that are more glute-focused or hamstring-focused, and that's what we're doing today. The first exercise for today is going to be the Bulgarian split squat. Now, this might not be your first exercise that you think of when you think about training your glutes, but it is actually an exercise that I love to do for targeting my glutes specifically. So when I want to target my glutes specifically, I make sure that I have a bit of a wider stance. So my working leg is forward a bit. I have a slight forward lean, which helps with creating a bigger stretch in your glutes, which is what we want. If you want to do this movement and focus on your quads more, you would have a closer stance, which would allow your upper body to be more upright, and it allows you to move in a vertical plane, whereas what we're now doing is we're kind of moving diagonally by focusing on driving through our hips, using our glutes, squeezing them to initiate the movement. I love this exercise for the glutes. Another reason why this exercise is great for the glutes, in my opinion, is because it's a unilateral exercise, which helps me so much with minimizing imbalances. So because your glutes are located at the backside of your body, it's hard to see them when you're actually training. And usually the muscles that you can't see are the muscles that are easiest for you to develop imbalances. Because when I'm, for example, doing any training that's on the front side of my body, I can see myself in the mirror, I can focus on my weaker side and make sure that I target it, that I use it when I'm training, whereas I can't do that with my glutes when I'm training. So for me to do unilateral work and prioritizing unilateral work by doing it first helps a lot with minimizing imbalances or preventing imbalances from happening in the first place. So as always, we start with our weaker side and then we match to work with the stronger side, just to make sure again that we are not making the imbalance any bigger if we have any. So Bulgarian split squat as the first exercise of today. We finished doing an exercise that was hardest when the glutes were at the lengthened position, which was the Bulgarian split squat, the squat variation unilateral exercise. So now we are moving on to an exercise that is hardest when the glutes are at the shortened position or any thrust or bridge variation. And today I am doing a Smith machine hip thrust. Reason why I'm doing this is because I think that the setup is a little bit quicker and easier than using the actual barbell, the free weights. And I really like the way that I'm able to feel this in my glutes and a little bit in my hamstrings. So we've done a squat variation, we've done a thrust movement, so now I want to do a hip hinge. But because I've already done quite taxing work with the Bulgarian split squat and the hip thrust, I am not going to opt for a Romanian deadlift because that's what I would usually program. Barbell Romanian deadlift, Smith machine Romanian deadlift, dumbbell Romanian deadlift. Instead, I'm going to do a back extension with a glute focus just because it's not as taxing, but I still really feel it in my glutes and my hamstrings. I am often talking about the glutes as if that is one singular muscle group that we can target all at once. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Why? Because the glutes consist of 3 different muscles. We have the gluteus maximus, the medius, and then the minimus. The one specific part of the glutes that I am trying to work most currently is the upper part of the glutes, because I want to build that shelf. When I walk around, I want to have that upper shelf just living its own life. The way to create that best is by targeting the medius specifically, because that is located on the upper side of the glutes. And one way to target it, the best way to target it, is by doing hip abduction. So that is exactly why I have this machine here that I am doing now. This is a seated hip abduction. Now, you'll notice that the seat is kind of leaning backwards. What I actually want to do is slightly lean forward. I want to have about a 30-degree angle with my upper body because that will help with creating that stretch in my glutes in the same way as that I did with the Bulgarian split squat. So that is what I'm doing, and then I make sure that I maintain mechanical tension on my glutes throughout the entire set. And then the final exercise of today is the glute kickback. It's a glute isolation exercise. I'm doing 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps each side. Again, start with the weaker side and then match with the stronger side. I'm using a foam block to elevate myself, which I find works better than a plate, especially when you don't have a rubber floor because the plate tends to slip, whereas this stays pretty solid on the right spot. Worth a try if you struggle with the plates slipping. Isolation exercise gives a great pump, love it. And that is it for today for the glute focused leg day.